Hello, students. Welcome back to class today. And we are in Book 2, Unit number 11. It's really worth seeing. Can you say that? It's really worth seeing. What does this mean? In this unit, we're going to be learning about city landmarks, famous works of art, ancient monuments, and other key features of countries around the world. And so when we say it's really worth seeing, it means you should go see it. We're talking about something famous, a city landmark. A city landmark would be something like in Phnom Penh, the Independence Monument. Or Wat Phnom is a city landmark. Or the Olympic Stadium in Phnom Penh is a city landmark. Or Satmai. All of these are unique buildings. A landmark can be a building, or it can be a garden, or something famous, something that is interesting to look at, and something that is famous that everybody in the city knows about. So a landmark is a familiar object or building that you can use to find your location in a place. For example, if I say, I will meet you at Wat Phnom, if you live in Phnom Penh, everybody knows where Wat Phnom is. It's a famous landmark. A famous work of art. We use the term work of art for a painting or a sculpture or something beautiful or interesting that someone has created with their hands. Okay, we call it a work of art. Usually a painting or a sculpture, but could be other things created by the hand, a work of art. Ancient, can you say that? Ancient, C-I-E-N-T is pronounced chant, chant, ancient, and so it has the C-H sound, chant, ancient. Ancient monuments are very old statues, very, very old. Wat Phnom, not Wat Phnom, Angkor Wat. Angkor Wat is an ancient monument, and there are many of them, and you will see them below. All right, so Snapshot. It's really worth seeing. And so we have 5 famous landmarks in the world. Have you ever heard of any of these famous landmarks? The Great Wall of China. Have you ever heard of the Great Wall of China? The Great Wall of China began in 214 BC. BC is before Christ, before Jesus Christ was born. And so in the West, our calendar is dated before Jesus was born, is BC. After Jesus was born is AD. And so I know that Buddhists have their calendar, and the Chinese have their calendar, and different cultures have their own calendars. But the common calendar that people use all over the world came from the West. All right? And so the West measures before Christ and after Christ. All right. The Great Wall of China began in 214 BC. It is the largest structure ever built. Okay, the Great Wall of China. Very interesting. I watched a YouTube video about the Great Wall of China. It is amazing. It goes from you know that China is one of the biggest countries in the world. And the Great Wall of China goes from the east of China all the way to the west of China. Very interesting. The Chinese built the Great Wall of China to keep their enemies out, as a barrier so their enemies could not come in. So it was a wall to protect their country. The Colosseum. Can you say that? The Colosseum in Rome. Rome is the capital of Italy, all right? The country of Italy. And so Rome is a very, very old city. The Colosseum in Rome was opened in 80 AD. All right, so the Great Wall of China was built 214 years before Jesus was born, and the Colosseum was built 80 years after Jesus was born. AD was opened in 80 AD. It was sometimes filled with water for ship battles. You should take the time and research these famous landmarks on Google. The Taj Mahal. Taj Mahal is how we say it. The Taj Mahal in India was built between 1630 and 1652. All right? Angkor Wat was built, the various temples of Angkor was built between the 1400s, 1500s, and 1600s AD. And so the Taj Mahal was built in India between 1630 and 1652. It is the tomb for the wife of an Indian prince. Tomb is Pno, the place where they bury people. We call that a tomb. Okay? It's not tomb. The B is silent, and the O has the oo sound. Tomb. Tomb. The Statue of Liberty in New York, New York City, New York State. The Statue of Liberty in New York was opened in 1886. It was a gift to Americans from the people of France. They actually built this gigantic statue in France, and they shipped it over to the United States on ships, and then they constructed it in New York. You should take a look at that. Do internet search and see the pictures. Very interesting. And finally, the Eiffel Tower. The Eiffel Tower in Paris, France, was completed in 1889, right about the same time as the Statue of Liberty, which was also built in France. It was built for the 100th anniversary of the French Revolution. All right, just say these after me, just to make sure that you have correct pronunciation. The Great Wall of China, the Colosseum, the Taj Mahal, the Statue of Liberty, the Eiffel Tower. All right, and pay attention to stress as well. Have you ever been to any of these landmarks? Do you know anyone that has been to any of these landmarks? I've been to the Eiffel Tower, and I've been to the Statue of Liberty. But I have not been to Taj Mahal, or the Colosseum, or the Great Wall of China. Taj Mahal does not sound interesting to me, although I've seen pictures and it's very beautiful. The Colosseum in all of Rome. Rome is a very ancient city, and there's a lot of Western history, the history of Western civilization. A lot of ancient monuments are found in Rome and Italy. That sounds interesting to me. The Great Wall of China, it sounds interesting, but it's so long, if I were to go, I could only see a small piece of it. All right, so actually, the Eiffel Tower and the Statue of Liberty sound the most interesting to me. Which of these is interesting to you? Which of these 5 famous landmarks is interesting to you? Okay, can you tell me? All right, just send me a message, send me a voice message, and say, teacher, and then tell me the name of it. Sounds more interesting to me, or sounds more interesting, or the most interesting. All right? So this is the introduction to our unit. Let's go on to the next lesson.